You've been following this case from the start. Isn't this gag order, isn't the horse already left the barn? There's already massive widespread speculation about this case.
There's already widespread massive speculation, but there is a mountain of evidence.
What's up, guys? There is a mountain of evidence that we don't know about yet. Can't wait for the trial, right? Hopefully, those cameras will be in there. But we're going to get into that and more in this video. We're going to talk about, can Kohberger receive a fair trial with cameras in the courtroom? I know some of you have been talking about that. I'm going to give you my opinion, and I think we're going to see if what Banfield thinks about it too. So, without further ado, here we go.
That we don't know about yet. And I have to say, Elizabeth, there's so much that I find fascinating about the debate that's going on. It's the First Amendment versus the Sixth Amendment. Your right to free speech in this country, and then your right to a fair trial in this country.
And real quick, before Banfield says anything, right, I'm going to give my opinion. I think, number one, you can receive a fair trial with cameras in the courtroom. I mean, just look at any of the national cases, right? O.J., Casey Anthony, Scott Peterson. I can go on and on. But they all had cameras in the courtroom, right? So, why is Kohberger special, right? Why all of a sudden are people saying that you can't receive a fair trial? And I'd like to point out that most of the 2 out of those 3 I just mentioned were acquitted, right? And the end cameras were in the courtroom, okay? So, and that's just 3 examples. And 2 of them were acquitted. Casey Anthony and OJ, right? With cameras in the courtroom. So, obviously, to me, you can receive a fair trial with cameras in the courtroom, right? That is my opinion. Let's see what Banfield has to say about it, too.
I've covered arguably bigger cases than Bryan Kohberger. OJ, for one. We didn't have a gag order in OJ, and we had cameras in the courtroom in OJ, and he had an acquittal. I'll also remind you that Casey Anthony also didn't have a gag order, had cameras in the courtroom. It was massively consumed across this country. She was called the most hated woman in America.
Yeah. Just like I just said, Casey Anthony was called the most hated woman in America before her trial, right? Because of the media and what she did to the court of public opinion, she's guilty. In my opinion, she's definitely guilty still, even though she got acquitted. But yeah, and she's still, there was cameras in the courtroom, right?
In headlines. Also an acquittal. Jodi Arias, she wasn't acquitted, but she skirted the death penalty. Her jury ultimately voted against a death penalty. Again, massive coverage. So I'm not so sure I buy into the arguments that are being made by the prosecution in this case. And I will say, as you are too, we have a dog in this fight.
Right. Here's what I understand why the media wants to see it. That's our job.
Yeah, they have a dog in this fight, as in they want cameras in the room because they want everybody to see the trial, right? And they're going to get a lot more ratings if the cameras are in the room. But that's not, I don't care about that at all. I just want to be able to see the trial and see it for myself, right? I don't want to have to read about what happened from one person that gets to be in there, right? And I want to see Kohberger's face and his reactions in real time. It's just way more exciting and way more interesting, right? I think anybody would agree with that.
We want the information. It's the family's argument that really is sort of striking here, because they want the gag order lifted as well.
So they feel as though they have been treated almost the way that we have. They feel that they've been left out of the process. They don't know much. This is devastating to them.
Okay, well, the police, I mean, I understand they're the family and all, but they can't tell the family everything because they don't know if the family is going to tell one of their friends, and then one of their friends is going to tell one of their friends, and then it just keeps going, and then eventually it gets out to the public, right? So the police wouldn't be doing their job, and quite frankly, it would be irresponsible of them to tell the family anything more than what we know, right? I mean, there's a gag order, right? The judge put it in place for a reason.
They'll come into court today and they'll see he's not in a jumpsuit, that he's in the black suit, and they don't understand why, because no one is sharing information with them. And what a lot of our audience might not know is that Bryan Kohberger has a lawyer. There she is sitting beside him. It's Ann Taylor. She's from the public defender's office. The families also have a lawyer. They're sitting across the way. They're called the prosecutors. And so the families aren't really feeling as though the prosecutors are their lawyer, because they're not part of the process. They're being kept sort of under the gag. They're not allowed to have information shared with them.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, guys, but that's the way it is, right? I mean, that's the way it should be, too. It's just how it is. It's the law.
And you can understand, as families, many times there's stuff you have to keep away from them. But generally speaking, they are part of the process, more than this process that at least I'm witnessing.
And what about this move to ban cameras in the courtroom during the trial? Bryan Kohberger's lawyers are arguing against cameras?
Yeah, he doesn't want cameras. I get it. Who wants to be on trial for a horrible, despicable murder that no one can sort of get their minds off of?
Yeah, I mean, the only one that wouldn't want cameras is Kohberger, right? Because he's already, whether he knows it or not, he's a national figure now, right? And all these facts are going to be coming out that I'm sure he does not want everybody to see and hear for themselves, right? I mean, if he did this, and he knows, right? I think he did this, but he's going, and if it is on camera, he is going to be the most hated man in America, right? So, obviously, he doesn't want cameras in there.
Here's the problem. There are plenty of countries around the world that don't allow cameras in the courtroom, that don't allow reporters in the courtroom, that don't even allow due process. They just put a hood over you and throw you in a gulag, and your family never finds out what happened to you.
Yeah, well, like Russia, Well, we aren't Russia.
That's not America. We're actually the shining light in jurisprudence all around the world because we have a transparent system of justice. I will fight tooth and nail as long as I remain a citizen of this country that we should protect that at all costs. And I also feel strongly about the Sixth Amendment. But there is a balance. And I think what's being argued here is that without cameras in the courtroom, this will be the second massive trial in Idaho. Lori Vallow banned cameras in the courtroom. This shouldn't be the precedent. This shouldn't be the standard. I just cited the cases before you. I cited 3 of the biggest cases in the last 20 years in this, well, I should say now 30 for OJ, where they got fair justice. 2 acquittals, 1 guilty verdict, but an avoidance of the death penalty for Jody. So cameras, in my opinion, do not affect the jury. It is the jury that matters in this case. And when you have a camera in the courtroom, that horse left the barn. That jury's already seated. The cameras don't pan onto them. They don't get to see what we get to see.
And I'd like to point out, I mean, once the jurors are already, selected and in there, it doesn't matter about the cameras because the jurors have already seen and heard everything before they've even got to sit down in that seat, right? So I'm trying to figure out how cameras would hurt Kohberger any more than he already is in the court of public opinion, right? Because the jurors are going to hear everything either way, right? And they're not going to be able to watch television. They're going to be sequestered once the trial starts anyway, right? So it makes no sense to me how cameras would, cause Bryan not to have a fair trial. The jurors are already going to know everything that they've seen and heard, right? I don't know. That's my argument. I mean, if you have a different opinion, please comment, and I will be happy to debate you. I don't get mad at people that have a different opinion than me, as long as you're nice about it. I like to debate people, right? I had a different opinion with Shadow, but I love Shadow. She's a great supporter and subscriber. I just like debates, right? And I like people with different opinions. Just be nice about it and don't be a clown, right?
They are forbidden to consume media coverage. So why on earth would you say cameras are a problem?
All right, we've got 10 seconds left. What do you think the judge is going to rule on both the gag and the cameras in the court?
Oh, boy, I knew you'd do that. Look, betting man, I'm not too happy with what I'm seeing in Idaho lately. If Lori Vallow's any indication, they've been keeping everything secret. I just can't see that the new judge in this case is going to do anything different than the old judge in this case. Now we're at state level. We were at district level or magistrate level before. I don't think it'll change.
Okay, well, she's got a good point there. The Vallow case was in Idaho, and for some reason they banned cameras. But I think that the judge is actually going to allow cameras. I'm probably speaking more with my heart than my brain, but I am hoping, and I'm just hoping, I guess, that this judge lets cameras in. I think it's going to happen. I'm going to stay hopeful, guys. Let me know what you guys think. And we got to get that algorithm going, guys. So hit that like button, hit that notification button, leave a comment. It all helps the algorithm, helps the channel grow. We're almost to 15,000. We came a long way in 6 months. Let's keep it up. True Crime King, out.